Hello. Welcome to another IELTS speaking practice. So Miss Thư is back here and she's gonna do her speaking practice now. Okay, so Miss Thư, let's start with part one first. Okay. Let's do 20. Okay, moment. It's 26. Okay, let's do 26 about flowers. Do you like flowers?
Yes, actually, I like flowers, but uh, I think I really like to receive flowers in my birthday or just occasionally. I think that's really great to receive flowers.
Right. And what kind of flowers do you like?
Well, actually, I do not have a specific kind of flowers that I like. However, I think I do like roses and some kind of flowers that have like a really nice smell. So I think that's the kind of flowers that I
I
like.
can give you a few names like daffodil, carnation, of course, rose, everyone talk about rose. We can talk about like lavender. Everyone will love this one, you know. Everybody loves lavender. Doesn't matter man or women, especially ladies love lavenders. Okay, daffodil, carnation, rose, lavender. I can give you a few more names. Like any kind of fruits tree will actually have flowers, you know, because you learned biology before. So when they bear fruits, so basically when the trees bear fruit, it must flower before that, you know? Do you agree? Trước khi nó tạo thành là trái cây thì nó phải là có hoa trước đã. You know biology before, so basically based on that, you can talk about like a lot of flowers, like for example, lemon flower, orange flower, hoa cam, hoa chanh. You can talk about that. Actually, flower. Sorry, something's wrong with me today. Okay, orange or lemon flower actually smell great and it looks good too. Okay, so have you planted any flowers before?
Actually, I have tried to plant uh, rose before when I was in grade 9. However, I didn't really succeed because I think they were too difficult for me to take care of those flowers to make them blossom and like shine and beautiful. So since then, I haven't really planted any flowers anymore.
I see. What do you think about herbs? This is called herbs, or you can all call it herbs, you know? Well, what do you think about them? Herbs.
Mm, well,
Would you fancy having herbs?
well, not really. I think some of them have very unpleasant smell and taste. Such as cilantro, I think I do not really like that. Mm, but I think I can stand them, but I do not really like herbs.
Well, there's a few one. I think you would probably know what they are. So you can talk about peppermint, of course, very common. Rosemary, this is should be one word, một từ nha, rosemary, hương thảo. Dill and chives, we use them for cooking. Anise, red basil, saffron, turmeric, onions, basil, eucalyptus. You can actually use them for cooking a lot. A lot of them can use for cooking. So, do you like to receive flowers as a gift?
Mm, Definitely, yes. I think receiving flowers as a gift is a very good thing. It
Sure, right?
shows like people who like give flowers to me as a gift. I think it means that they I think that is a very sweet. I think that's very sweet thing for them to do, and uh, personally, I do really like receive flowers as well. So I think anyone who gives me flowers as a gift will be really cherished by me.
Yes. Okay, so have you ever sent flowers to anyone? It's like, if you receive, you should send it to someone else as well. What do you think? Have you ever sent flowers to anyone?
Actually, I have sent flowers to many people for many occasions. For example, on Mother's Day, I always send flowers to my mother and my grandmother. And also on my friend's birthday, I occasionally send them flowers as well, because as me, they do think it's a very sweet thing to do between friends. So yeah, I have sent flowers to many people for a lot of times.
I see. So are there any flowers that have special meanings in your country?
Well, I think in my country, the most famous, like the national flowers, is lotus. Like, it's um, uh, but I think in different regions in my country,
There are,
they have their,
there are,
there are
is there
no
are.
there are like different kinds of flowers that have special meanings according to their availability and also their adaptation to that to the weather of that season as well. So
Mhm.
I think my in my country there are different kinds of flowers that have special meanings.
Like, can you give examples? Like, for
Well,
example, during Lunar New Year, what kind of flowers are often used? Like, for example, the yellow blossom flower. Hoa mai, hoa đào là, is it the peach flower or something? I don't remember how I think it's a peach flower or the yellow blossom flower, I think. They are very special during the Lunar New Year. Okay, so and also I think some families they actually um, put out like lemon or orange flowers as well because those fruits actually symbolizes wealth, vitality. So basically those fruits symbolize vitality, wealth and energy. Nó có cái năng lượng, sức sống và sự trù phú, gia sản. So actually, it symbolizes a lot of things. So that's why Vietnamese people often use them, often have them as decoration during a New Year. Well, think about Vietnam. We have Christmas now, and during Christmas, there's this flower. I'm not so sure if you've seen it before. It's called the Christmas flower, I think. The red one. Have you ever seen this one before?
yeah, I think yeah.
I think it's called poinsettia, poinsettia, or people often call it the Christmas flower or the red Christmas flower, I think. Very beautiful. I would love to have one of them. Anyway, so let's try another one. So this is 26. Let's try 25 about environmental protection. So do you do anything to protect the environment?
Yes, Actually, I have done a lot of activities to protect the environment, both from myself and also from many projects and programs in my school and my neighborhood. First, as for myself, I do not usually throw trash wherever I want, but I put them in the trash bins, and then sometimes I help to collect the trash and then put them in the right place. Also, in many of the programs in my school and in my neighborhood, we are allowed to plant a lot of trees in the barren soil, like in many empty space to reduce the pollution, and also to for the trees to produce oxygen for people.
I see. So will you do anything in the future to protect the environment?
Absolutely. In the future, I think I will do a lot more things to protect the environment. If I have enough money, I think I will set up a program or a charity to for people to join hands, and then together we can plant trees, or we can collect trash, and sometimes we can help the places with serious environmental problems,
Mhm.
or we can in the seas or in many places. So I think, yeah, in the future, I think I will do a lot of activities to protect the environment.
I see. Now, so did you learn about environmental protection at school? Is it in a curriculum, you know?
Yes,
And what did they teach
actually,
you in school?
environmental protection is a part of biology in my school curriculum, and I have learned about it since grade 8.
Mm,
And there I was taught about the importance of environment to human, and the consequences if the environment is polluted. So as a result, we are encouraged to try to protect to protect the environment, the surrounding environment, to not throw trash, not litter everywhere, and not to and try to join in many of the environmental protection programs that are in my school.
mhm. I see. It's a pity that it's environmental protection is only taught as part of biology. It should also be taught as part of other subjects, like I think geography as well as maybe chemistry as well. You know, môn hóa và môn địa lý thực sự cũng nên có cái chương mà bảo vệ môi trường thật. So I think there should be environmental protection topics everywhere in all the topics, in all the subjects, I think. Now, would you like to work in a company related to environmental protection? So basically, if you work there, you're in a green collar, you are a green collar worker. Ever heard about it?
No.
So we have white collar, which is office workers. Blue collar workers are basically factory workers, those people who work in factories or basically technicians or fix things, you know. Green collar worker basically work in environment. They try to protect the environment, you know. And it is not just about cleaning up the trash, you know. Đâu phải là cứ lao động cỏ xanh lá cây là cứ phải đi hút rác đâu, no. So they also work in a company related to environmental protections. There are a lot of job vacancy. Có nhiều vị trí trống lắm. There's a lot of job vacancy in green collar sector, you know, because not many people want to be there. Would you like to work in a company related to environmental protection?
Well,
Like
I
find
think
green solution, tìm giải pháp xanh.
I think maybe in the future I would like to have a try in the company related to environmental protection. Because even nowadays, not many people are interested in those kind of companies. And as a result, I think there will be a lot of job vacancies in those companies. And when I work for and when I apply to such companies, I think I will have better chances to get a job and to get
Mhm.
promoted soon if I work hard. And also to work in a company that is about environmental protection, I not I not only can earn money for myself, but I think I can also protect the environment from harming myself and also my beloved people, and not get and not get in trouble get into trouble with health issues, with environment, with pollution.
Hmm. But actually, those jobs, you don't have a lot of competition because in Vietnam, there's no real competition in that. A lot of job vacancies need to be filled in Vietnam. So I think if you work in those fields, you will have life satisfaction, and also it's not too stressful, I think. Now, that is environmental protection. Let's go to 24 about car trips. Trips by car, it can be by your own car or by your parents' car or anybody else's car. Like, for example, if you book a trip on, like, let's say Grab car, if you use like an app to book cars, that's also you're trying to go by car trips. Now, so do you like to travel by car?
To be honest, I really like to travel by car because when I travel by car, I do not have to face the problem of the weather, whether it's rainy or it's sunny. I will not get affected at all. And also in cars, we have air conditioner, which is really cool and convenient in sunny days when I have to travel far. So overall, I think I really like to travel by car.
Hmm. And how often do you do that? How often do you travel by car then?
Well, I think for now I only travel by car once a week on the weekends when I uh, go to my hometown. Uh, because most often during weekdays I travel by school in by bike because it is really they are very near to each other. So I do not have to travel by car. But when I get to my hometown, that's a pretty far way. So yeah, I will travel by my parents' car.
Mhm. I see. Now, so do you like to sit in the front or back when traveling by car? Sitting in the front actually is more fun, but the problem is if you get into an accident, if the car hits something, you'll be the first one to die. It's not very safe there, to be honest with you. So that's why there's something called what's it called? The gas bag. The gas bag. Túi khí is the gas bag. And when the car hits something, the gas bag will be activated, and then your face will have to, be in contact with the gas bag, inflating the gas bag. So the gas bag will inflates when the car hits something. However, when you sit in the back, there's no gas bag whatsoever. However, sitting in the back is actually a little bit more safe. So, do you like to sit in the front or back when traveling by car?
To be honest, I think that to sit in the front of the car is a way more interesting experience for me. Because when I sit in the front, I can clearly see the road that I am traveling, and I can see a lot of people, a lot of vehicles passing by, which is really fun to, which is a really fun thing to do when traveling by car on long trips.
I see.
Yeah.
So, do you think sitting in the back of the car is a safer option?
Definitely, I think sitting in the back of the car is a safer option. In case of an accident, if you sit in the front of the car, uh, you will be the first person to get injured. And so, where and but however, uh, however, in cars, when there is an accident, the gas bag inflates, and sometimes it does help to reduce the level, the rate of injuries that that person has. However, sitting in the back of the car is way more safer because uh, you are not the first person to encounter with that interaction with another vehicle. And sometimes it is easier to get out of the car when you sit in the back rather than sit in the front, I think.
I see. Now, so where's the longest journey you have traveled by car?
I think the longest journey that I have traveled by car is my trip with my family to Hạ Long Bay.
Hmm. You travel all the way there from Ho Chi Minh, like so from Nam Định City to
Yeah,
by car?
yeah. But
Hmm.
we do have like stops. We do stop at some
Oh, close up, close.
places. Yeah, and we had this trip just about 1 or 2 years ago, and and we decided to try to drive there by car. But, however, our during our journey, we do have many stops at some hotels to like recharge our energy and also fill our cars. So it was a very fun experience that I have had, and although it's a bit tiring, but I still feel a lot of fun.
Hmm. I see. So, do you prefer to travel by car or by motorbike? Why not? Remember, being on the back or at the front of a motorbike, sometimes it's a different experience, yes. But I can assure you that be at the back of the motorbike, it won't be a very pleasant experience, especially if the roads are not smooth, you know? If the road if the road is not smooth. Nếu mà đường nó không có trơn, nó không có đủ độ trơn láng, if the road is not smooth enough, you will feel very uncomfortable traveling by motorbike. Anyway, so which one do you prefer, by car or by motorbike?
Mm, Definitely by car, because cars. I think I can travel by car in any kind of uh, weather conditions, whether it's raining or it's sunny. Traveling by car would solve the problems. And also when when I travel by motorbike, especially when the road is bumpy or it's not a pleasant route, I can easily get back I can easily hurt my back because I have nothing to lean back on, and which is very different from traveling by car. And when I finish my trip, I usually uh, hurt all my body just sitting on that motorbike. So definitely, traveling by car is a better choice for me.
Okay, I see. All right, good, good. Let's go to part two now. Let's go to part two. Um, we didn't have 59 already. 50. So these things are basically just part two. Uh, part two also. There's a lot of questions in which only part two or I have to be really aware of these things. Okay. What is 77? Hmm. Okay, let's do 77 then. Describe an activity you usually do that waste your time. An activity you usually do that waste your time, it means that you don't feel like you're doing something productive and it just keep wasting your time. Like, for example, cleaning your home, for example, wasted a lot of your time. Even though actually it helps you live a more healthier life, but it seems like after a while your house become dirty again, you know. So I do feel like cleaning home is a waste of time. So that's why I bought a robot. It can clean the floor, sweep the floor for me, ensure that my house always relatively clean. And I also hire like Bitaski ladies. Like, are there like that apps? Is there a service of Bitaski in your city? You know, a cleaning ladies come to your house and clean your house for you. Is there a service like that in Namdin City?
Yeah,
There
actually,
is, right?
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just giving you some ideas. An activity you usually do that wastes your time, you should say what it is, when you usually do it, why you do it. Explain why you think it wastes your time. And then part three, how do people balance life and work? You know, people talk about work-life balance all the time, you know, but to do that, it's not that easy because you would always, you would almost always get you would almost always get snowed under. You know, snowed under means you're overwhelmed with work. You would almost always get snow under or get or feel overwhelmed with work, you know. If you work for people, you would almost always get snow under or you would almost always feel overwhelmed with work. So balancing life and work can be a very difficult task. Like for a person like me, I'm a freelancer. If I don't want to work anymore, I can just tell my students to, yeah, let's not study today, for example, and then I'll use that time to hang out with my family or my friends, you know, or just spend quality time alone or with my cat, something like that, to balance my life and my work. And how do people balance life and work? So you should also talk about like it's not that easy to do so, you know. Mình đã nói về cái chuyện mà không nên dễ dàng, không hề dễ dàng để balance chuyện công việc và đời sống. Now, will you continue doing something when you are aware that it's a waste of time? Like a total waste of time, for example, when you feel like you're trying to waste time teaching your brother or sister, for example, you know, and then it doesn't work. It's just a waste of time and things go very slowly, for example. Will you continue to do so, for example? You know, most of the time, I think brother or sisters cannot really teach their siblings, I think, even though they try, you know. My brother actually is a smart man, and of course I am too, I think. But when I was younger, like when I was in grade 6 or 7, my brother tried, tried to teach me, he tried to teach me math. And after half an hour, he was very angry that I couldn't understand whatever he's saying. And he was very frustrated. He was very frustrated with that, and he thought it was a waste of time, so he gave up. All right, so will you continue doing something when you are aware it's a waste of time? And what kinds of things make people feel pressured? If you feel pressured, of course, you feel the stress. If you feel pressured, you feel stress, and you have to be able to do something, finish something quickly. So, like for example, if you have to run a deadline, if you have to run a deadline, it actually makes people feel very pressured. Or if you have to complete unexpected tasks, complete unexpected tasks that popped up, like at last minute. At the last minute. Phút cuối là gần xong rồi tự nhiên. Em làm giùm chị cái này được không? Gấp mà. You know, sometimes like when you're about to stop working and then call it a day, then suddenly someone called you and then you have unexpected tasks that popped up at the very last minutes, and then people beg you to finish that. So of course it's stressful, you feel pressured, of course. These things happen a lot to me, trust me. It can be very stressful, yes. Now, and also think about the fact that when you work for people, you will have to face a lot of customers, and a lot of customers, they demand things very unreasonably. Customers often demand things unreasonably. And a lot of customers, oh my God, they're just crazy. Nhiều người quá đáng lắm luôn á, đòi hỏi những thứ rất là vô lý kinh khủng luôn á. Like, I'm sure you've heard about this. And it makes you feel very pressured, very stressed out. You can give some examples, more examples. Now, so why do some people refuse to abide by the rules? So we have a saying, abide by the rules or the law. Tuân thủ luật pháp. But some people refuse to do that because sometimes there are some rules that are silly or it doesn't make sense. Một số cái luật không make sense, không hợp lý đâu. And as a good citizen, if you think that some rules are bad, you should refuse to abide by that rules. In the past history, there are a lot of cases where people refuse to abide by rules if those rules are really bad. And a lot of the time, if people refuse to abide by the rules, if the authority abuse, their power, nếu mà những người có thẩm quyền họ lạm dụng quyền lực, they abuse their power and they set very unreasonable rules that people have to follow and then demand people to follow, to abide by the rules. So of course, people will refuse to abide by these rules and they will protest. They will protest against the government. People will protest against it. If people think that these rules are very bad. You can give some examples. Like, I think it's not that easy to run a business now in Vietnam because there are so many tax. Thực sự là làm vận hành doanh nghiệp Việt Nam bây giờ á, làm ăn khó khăn lắm luôn á, tại vì thuế má nhiều thứ lắm. There's a lot of tax that people have to pay for the government. Lot of tax. So, of course, people will refuse to abide by the rules if they think it's so unreasonable, you know. And there are cases that people protest against it and the government had to back down. So the government has to back down. Chính quyền phải chiều theo nha. They have to give in. If the people are angry, the government has to back down. Right. It's just some ideas for you. Okay, 77, describe an activity you usually do that wastes your time. Okay. You have some time to think now. All right, please describe an activity you usually do that wastes your time.
So, an activity that I usually do and wastes my time is surfing the internet.
Hmm.
Well, I think this happens every single day of my life, and I think I must spend about roughly 2 hours a day on just surfing the internet, visiting the social sites, watching videos on YouTube and TikTok, and texting as well. Well, to be because there are many interesting content on the internet, many articles or many articles about famous people, or there are many interesting, funny videos that uh, can easily grab my attention, and I I tend to end up with my eyes just stare at them all the time, and I think it's very hard to resist the temptation from those contents on social media.
Mhm.
And also, I really want to stay connected with what other people are doing, and I do not want to get isolated with from anyone. And
So
the reason why,
that's why you still do it, right?
yeah, although I do know that I waste a lot of my productive hours that I could spend on studying or
That
many
I could have spent
that I
on
could have
something else.
spent
Mm-hmm.
that I could have spent on my studying or doing something much more meaningful. I still cannot get rid of this habit of surfing the internet.
You know, it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
It's not that easy to get out of that. You have to have discipline. You need to have discipline, you know. It's weird because you are Capricorn. You're supposed to have discipline, I think, more than the other people. Because I think most Capricorn people, they are older in their mindset compared to the rest of the 12 zodiac signs. Đúng là sinh cung Mai Kết phải có kỷ luật hơn những cung khác cái gì? Interesting. You know, but it doesn't mean that they are immune to that, you know. It doesn't mean you are immune to phone addiction, I think. Không có nghĩa là em miễn nhiễm với sự nghiện điện thoại. Anyway, so let's go to part three now. So how do people balance life and work?
Well, this question of balancing life and work has always been really popular, and I think with for different people, they have their own different ways to balance their life and their work. But I think the most popular method that people usually use is that they plan for the time they spend on their work and their um, life activities. For example, if people are white collar workers, I think they usually work from the morning until 9 to 6 p.m. And sometimes they just and after that I think they will spend about 3 or 4 hours with their family, cook or play with their children, And after that, I think they will try to finish their work to meet the deadline that are given to them. And I think many people are following this method to balance their life and work.
Hmm. Do you think it's a popular methods?
I think so. I do not work, so I don't really know.
Well, but you are studying, and studying is considered as a special kind of work, you know. And sadly, I don't think many people can find balance in life and studying or life and working. Think about it. You are in high school now and at your very final years. So work-life balance becomes something, a rare thing, a rarity. Now, so will you continue doing something when you are aware that it's a waste of time?
Well, actually, I think even when I am aware that something is a waste of time, there are still many situations when I will continue doing them. First, for example, I think I know that using the phone, surfing the internet, is such a waste of time. However, I think I could not stop myself. As a matter of fact, on the internet, there are many interesting contents that can really make me feel fascinated, and it can easily grab my attention. And once I'm engrossed in something, it's really hard for me to take my eyes off those contents on the internet. And after using that, after spending hours on my phone, I realize it's a waste of time, and I just kind try to remind myself to restrain the time on the screen. However, it doesn't really happen because I continue doing that day for the next days, because I think somehow I'm addicted to my phone. Um,
Not
Also,
pleasantly,
yeah,
to be honest with you.
yeah. I'm trying though.
Well, it requires a lot of discipline, and you have to be strict with yourself, limit your screen time, and then try to help your friends, try to help your parents more, try to do more housework, or try to just go out more, ask people to go out and talk like normal people, there's a reason why Steve Jobs and what's the name of those tech giant bosses? I don't think Steve Jobs or those billionaires allow their children to be with their phones so much, I don't think they allow that because they understand how badly phone addiction can influence their life. Now, so um, what kind of things make people feel pressured then?
Well, I think for different people, they have to feel pressured from many different things.
Mhm.
Uh, First, for example, many people feel pressured from their work. They are under great pressure from their colleagues or from their employers to run the deadline or just to complete very complicated tasks or some unexpected tasks that pop up at the last minute. And sometimes they have to uh, put up with many unpleasant customers who demand unreasonable things. And sometimes they just cause many troubles to both uh, the employees and the managers. Uh, Also, there are people who are pressured from their daily life activities. For some people, when they are for some people who are housewives, I think sometimes taking care of the house or taking care of their child can be a very demanding job. And
Mm.
sometimes they just feel really pressured and exhausted, and and always wonder whether they are doing the right thing or not.
Mm.
And also, I think people will mostly feel pressured when they enter a competition or they have to compete with someone else. I think this is a very common feeling for people to have because they have to deal with something new. They have to compete with others, and sometimes they feel really nervous and pressured, and sometimes they even question their ability to defeat or to compete with those people. So I think those are the three main things that will make people feel really pressured: life, work, and
Very good,
sometimes
very good.
competition.
Now, very good. So why do some people refuse to abide by rules then? What do you think? Like, for example, rules here can be the rules of a company, or the rules of the school, or the rules of the organization, or something like that. Why do some people refuse to abide by rules? Rules are set so that uh, the collective will have to follow. The word the collective, tập thể, một tập thể phải tuân theo nếu mà người ta ra một cái rules đó. Rules are made so the collective will have to follow, something like that. But sometimes it harms people or it causes more harm than good. So, people have to show their refusal, you know. Còn người ta phải show ra cái sự mà từ chối của họ chẳng hạn. Okay, so why do some people refuse to abide by rules then?
Well, I think one of the reasons that people refuse to abide by rules is that they feel these rules are unnecessary or just too silly for them to follow.
Oh,
For example, in many companies, uh, people are people are um, sometimes people are made to work overtime, and some people find it is not really necessary, and they can well finish their job in the given time, and they do not feel like working overtime, and then they just go home and immediately after the working hours. And also, I think
else?
uh, for students, for example, with students, many students who usually cheat, even though they cheat in exams, even though they know that they are not allowed to do it. Well, I think the reason is that cheating can help them to increase their
Okay.
academic scores, and they feel like if they do not get caught, then there will be no problem of cheating. So, and they can also get high score. So why don't they try to uh, disobey the rules?
Or
And
it might
all,
cause harm to the others. Like, for example, not all the time government do right things. Anyway, so let's go to the next one. What did I say here? Okay, let's do 83 now. It describes a creative person whose work you admire. So the creative person, like for example, an author of a book, or maybe an author of or the director of a movie or something. Describe a creative person whose work you admire. You should say who he or she is, how you knew him or her, what creative things he or she has done, and explain why you think he or she is creative. And then part three of being creative. Do you think people these days are more creative than in the past? Okay, think about in the past what people have a lot of time to read and to create new things. But these days, a lot of the time, I think people are they have to work, have to study more, they have to do a lot of things. I think there's a general lack of hobbies these days. Ngày nay con người ta thiếu cái hoạt động để mà sáng tạo lắm luôn á. I think. And then không có đủ thời gian để mà cho những cái sở thích. I don't think people have a lot of time for hobbies these days. And art as well. And they're just on their phones a lot of the time. I don't think it's a good thing at all. And but also in other cases, there are people who are extremely creative. So you can talk about that. And it also depends on the age groups and sex as well. Nhóm tuổi nào nữa. Like if you retire already, you have a lot of free time. You can do a lot of things. You can be creative rather than using that extra energy to worry about the other people or worry about the past or something like that. A lot of people who are very old, they constantly worry a lot, for their children or grandchildren. And I think it's not a good thing at all. Okay, so instead of that, they can use that time to be creative, to let's say play games, to draw, to learn a new art, to create food or something like that. Now, is it good for children to learn arts? There you go. You surely know how to answer this question, I'm sure. So what kinds of jobs require people to be creative? We've done something similar before, I think. And do you think leaders need to have creative ability? Like leaders who lead a company, leader who lead an industry or a country, they sometimes they need to come up with creative solutions for a lot of social problems. Solutions that people have not thought of before, something like that. And I think leaders, they should not follow the rules. Basically, leaders should be creative because they are the one who lead. People look up to them. People look up to leaders. So it means that leaders, they have no one else to look up to. And they have to be creative because anything new they do, people will look up to them. They will learn from them. So I do think the leaders need to be creative as well. If you as a leader are not creative, you follow the norm. If you follow the norm, cứ theo những cái thông thường. If you follow the norms, then the whole country would not develop very well, because life is ever changing. Remember that. Cuộc sống lúc nào nó cũng luôn thay đổi liên tiếp nha. If you do not change, if you do not try to be creative and change, you will be obsolete soon. You'll be obsolete soon. Bạn sẽ trở thành là lỗi thời nếu mình không thay đổi theo kịp thời đại. You'll be obsolete soon if you cannot follow the trend, if you cannot follow how life is changing. So as leaders, you surely need creative ability, I think. Give some examples, I think, about how leaders can help a country to develop, who they can learn from. And should they allow like creative ideas from their co-workers or from their subordinates, from their subordinates. Subordinates means like cấp dưới của họ. from your subordinates. Sometimes your subordinates will have some kind of eureka moment, you know. Ever heard about it? Những phút giây mà tự nhiên sáng tạo. Some kind of eureka moment, I think. Is it eureka? Eureka moment, I think. Okay. You have some time to think now. Okay, so Mr. Please describe a creative person whose work you admire.
So I would like to talk about one of my music teachers whose work I really admire. Well, I was lucky enough to be one of his students when I was in grade 8, and he has done a lot of creative things that I really appreciate. His voice was really hypnotizing and really sweet. And also he can easily create any lyrics for any song that for any piece of music that uh, we we give to him.
Mhm.
And also, and the reason why I think he is really creative is that he can just from the sound of any just from the sound of any daily activities that he can hear, he can
Mhm.
easily turn it into a piece of music, and then he add the lyrics to it and turn it into a full song. And luckily, I have witnessed a lot of his works through the random noises that he have heard in his daily life, such as the noise of the traffic or the bell or many things, just normal thing in life that I could never think of. Um,
Hmm. Okay, I see. Good, good, good. So weirdly, I have never actually admired any creative persons in the past. Maybe because I'm very creative myself, you know. So maybe I haven't seen anybody who's, you know, I actually admire seriously. You know that I also play the piano and I also do a lot of things, right?
yeah.
Right. Maybe that's why I think. Now, do you think people these days are more creative than in the past?
Well, I think at some point it is true that people these days are more creative than the past. Well, as a matter of fact, nowadays there are many people who create content on TikTok or on Facebook to for entertain for entertaining purposes for people, and also they also gain money from their intent from their contents on the internet. So in order to grab people's attention, they have to be really creative with the content and
Content.
something
Content.
content
They have to be
and
really creative with the contents.
yeah,
Nghe đầu nha. Contents.
content and they have and the contents have to be really unique and really new for people to notice it. However, I think nowadays some people are not really as creative as in the past, mm, because they rely a lot on technology, and sometimes they just forget to do many to have any hobbies, and as a result, they're they cannot be creative because they do not have to think about something completely new, but just follow uh, the herd. So, but I think in general, people nowadays they are also more creative than in the past.
Mm. Right. So is it good for children to learn arts then? art here can mean so many different fields of arts, you know.
Well, actually, I think it is vital for children to learn art, whether it's drawing or music or any kind of art. Because the first and foremost, and I think the most important reason is that children can greatly benefit from learning art. They can they through arts they can make themselves become more creative, and they are when learn arts they are forced to do something new, something that is completely different, and they cannot copy from anyone's work because it is very easy to notice that. So when they learn art, they have to be they have to think a lot about something completely different, which is really vital their uh, thinking and also for their future. Also, I think when learn arts, children are allowed to expose to many beautiful concepts in life, and through art, they are given a chance to cherish the beautiful in the most trivial things in life. So I
Really
think,
interesting that you said trivial.
yeah, in general, I think it's really vital for children to learn arts.
Mm. So what kinds of jobs require people to be creative?
Well, I think a lot of jobs that there are a lot of jobs that require people to be creative. For example, in the teaching profession, teachers are really need to be creative because sometimes cannot follow the traditional method of teaching for every student, and for each student or for each class, they have to change their teaching methods in order to fit in with their students, so that they can, so that the information, the knowledge that they give to their children, to to the students, will be effective and they can remember it really well. So, teachers really need to be creative. Also, I think jobs related to research do also require people to be creative because sometimes they have to invent something completely new. For example, in the COVID-19 pandemic,
Good,
the
good, good,
researchers,
good, good. There you go.
yeah,
Now you're going into the right direction, I think.
yeah, so in the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of researchers have to be creative. They have to invent a new kind of vaccine for this virus to prevent the prevent the growth of this virus and also to reduce the risk of people injecting these vaccines. So this job requires people to be really creative as well. Also, I think in engineering, when people decorate or people build up houses, they have to engineers or architectures architectures they have to create a completely new house, and that is suitable for the customer's need. So uh, they need to be creative. They need to think of something. They have to imagine a lot about the house that they are going to build for their clients. So I think that's also a kind of job that require people to be creative.
Very good. Now, so do you think leaders need to have creative ability? Now it's a bit more harder. Bit hard now.
Definitely, yeah. I think leaders really need to have creative ability. As leaders in any group or in countries or cities, I think they need to, sometimes when they become leaders, they have to change some of the laws or some of the rules that are too old-fashioned, or unsuitable for the ever-changing community or ever-changing world. So as a result, they cannot always follow the path of their uh, former leaders because their era and the former leaders' era and the era nowadays can be really different. And if they do not change and turn it into something new and suitable, many people will have many people will not be satisfied, and sometimes they will even protest, and then that leaders will no longer be
Empower.
empowered. Yeah.
Không còn trong quyền lực, không còn nắm quyền nữa. No longer be empowered. Or worse, they will be overthrown. To overthrow someone, giống như kiểu là lật đổ ai đó. They will be overthrown. They will be overthrown. Overthrow, overthrew, overthrown, you know. Well, that's not really the result that leaders want to have. They need to be creative. They need to be adaptive as well. They need to be adaptive, you know. Cần phải biết cách mà thích nghi nữa nha. They need to be adaptive and creative at the same time. Okay, let's try something else now. Okay, let's try 87. Describe a person who solved a problem in a smart way. You should say who this person is, what the problem is, how he or she solved it, and explain why you think he or she did it in a smart way. Okay? And then part 3, do you think children are born smart or they learn to become smart? I've heard people born rich, you know. Born rich. If you're born rich, probably you don't have to work a single day in your life, and then basically just fool around, just finish your education and then have parties, something like that. Do you think children are born smart or they learn to become smart? Bạn nghĩ rằng trẻ nhỏ sinh ra đã thông minh hay là chúng phải học để trở thành thông minh hơn? So think about the fact that there are some people who are born smart, correct? Like geniuses, you know? Think about geniuses. There are geniuses around. We know them, and they can, like, for example, have an IELTS of 8.5 at a very young age. Let's say grade 5, for example. Lớp 5 nó được IELTS 8.5 chẳng hạn. Something like that, you know. That is superhuman, you know. I think it's superhuman. That is extraordinary. Careful, this word is pronounced like extraordinary. Extraordinary. You know, phi thường. Well, but of course, most of us, we are not geniuses, you know. So we have to learn to become smart. And it means that we have to go through different classes. We have to really try to learn new things every day, you know. Even geniuses, if they're born smart, they still have to learn new things every day, you know. And you can give examples that you know, and what can we learn to become smarter? I think you can also talk about that. We can learn how to solve problems in a smarter way. We can learn from the mistakes of the others, of other people, you know, to become smarter. I think you can give some examples about that. Now, but to tell you the truth, geniuses or babies or children who are born very smart, like to the level of like how can I say, geniuses, 天tài, they don't often end well, you know, because a lot of the time they cannot fit in well with the rest of us. They cannot fit in well with the rest of the society. And because of that, they cannot find lovers very easily. They cannot find friends easily, and they live a very lonely life, unsuccessful. Have you ever heard about a story of someone who has 300 in his IQ? He died in poverty and no friends at all. Có một câu chuyện của một người Do Thái mà IQ 300 á, chết trong nghèo khổ và không có người bạn luôn á. Well, to be honest with you, like if you're geniuses, people cannot understand you. They're not even your friends, you know. They envy you. So think about that. A lot of people want their children to become geniuses, or they want their children to become really smart, but they have to think about the consequences that can come with that, you know. Anyway, so how do children become smart at school? You can also talk about what I just said. To be smart at school, it's basically learn how to game the system. Học cách chơi cái hệ thống trường học này. They know how to learn how to game the system. It means that they know how the system works and they learn how to get the best result out of this school system, you know. Giống như kiểu mà mình quen thuộc cái hệ thống trường học như thế rồi, mình học cách để mà trở nên giỏi nhất trong hệ thống đó thôi. So but it means that when you finish school, you have to face the reality of life and work. You won't succeed because you have spent so much time to get used to the system, to game the system in order to be the best in the system, you know. So that's why if normally if you study very well in schools, the people who didn't study as well as you actually became they can become more successful than you know. Nó có một câu chuyện mà thấy hoài luôn á, những người học rất rất giỏi trong trường nhưng mà mọt sách riết, xong rồi sau này ra đời thì không thành công bằng những người mà học không giỏi bằng đâu nha. Thật sự luôn á, it's a truth, you have to understand that. And I also explained to you why, you know, because they game the system. They didn't have enough time to build like social skills and interpersonal skills, you know, interpersonal skills. They didn't have time to develop that. Không có đủ thời gian để xây dựng mấy cái kỹ năng đó. And they just study like a bookworm, you know. It's not a good thing. Học như một sách đó. It's not a good thing. Now, so how do children become smart in school? You can talk about like, of course, they need to study harder. Some people, some people, they take their children to extra classes, you know, extra classes, or we call them after school classes. And then take part in extracurricular activities, events with their parents. You know, some people, they bring their children to events, you know, social events and events so that their children can learn more and become smarter. There are different kind of smart, but here this question focuses on being smart at school, you know. Now, why are some people well-rounded? You know the word well-rounded, right?
Yeah.
Well-rounded means that you are good with everything. Like, for example, you are both very studious. You study well. You are rich, born rich. You have from a rich background. Your family is rich or powerful. And also you are good looking or you are talented. Why are some people well-rounded? Tại sao một số người lại văn võ song toàn, một số người là cái gì cũng giỏi, con nhà người ta. And others only good at one thing. Có người khác chỉ giỏi một thứ thôi. Well, I think this one, it depends a lot on how their family educate them. You know, cách giáo dục của gia đình rất là quan trọng nha. Because If the family does not allow children to be creative and to be curious, basically allow children to be creative and curious, if they do not allow the children to do that, then the children will just abide by the rules, and then they will not try new things. If they do not try new things, how can they be well-rounded? Cho nên là con ngoan quá cũng không tốt đâu nha. If your children are so docile, if your children are so docile or docile, it's not a good thing. Nếu con mà ngoan quá thực sự không tốt lắm đâu. Docile children actually they just listen to their parents and they do not have they're not creative, they're not even curious enough, you know. And as a result, they don't become leaders. They basically are just followers, trở thành những người mà cứ tuân lệnh thôi chứ không phải là người lãnh đạo đâu. And of course, they're not well-rounded. I think one other reason you can think of is, if people are well-rounded, probably their parents are also very talented as well, or very good at something, or very smart. Nếu mà con mà giỏi đủ thứ thì cha mẹ thực sự cũng phải giỏi. I think that's what you often see, right? Because it's like children learn from, because basically children mostly learn from the example of their own parents, trẻ nhỏ nó thường học phần đông là từ những cái ví dụ, những cái tấm gương của cha mẹ chúng rồi à. So that's why they say that, there's a saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Do you know that it's a saying, right? Cha mẹ nào thì con nấy thôi. Thiệt sự luôn á. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, think also about the fact that well-rounded people, they they try very hard, in order to learn new things. Những người mà giỏi đủ thứ thì họ cũng cố gắng rất nhiều để học được nhiều thứ. Yeah. And they keep an open mind. They are open-minded. They are open-minded. They try new things. They try a lot of new things. And they are not afraid to be different or weird. Không có sợ khác biệt, cũng không có sợ là lạ lùng nữa so với người khác nữa. Okay, think about that. Okay, why does modern society needs talent of all kinds? Tại sao xã hội hiện đại lại cần những tài năng của tất cả mọi chủng loại? So think about some talents. Like for example, if you are talented in arts, people might not think that you contribute a lot to the local economy, to making money. It's like the society these days think that skills that will help you earn money is the one that people will appreciate the most. People often appreciate the skills that help you earn well. Yes. But how about other skills like literature, art? Like if you have talents in history, for example, if you have talent in sports, how about that? In case, let's say in case of an emergency, let's just say in case of an emergency, like for example, if you are talented in sports, you can help a lot of people escape death. You can help people escape death. Có thể giúp con người ta trốn thoát khỏi cái chết nếu mà thể lực mình tốt. Because of course you are talented with sports, in sports, your physique, it's great. You can run into the fire and save people. Or even better, you can survive more than the other people. If you're good with arts, probably you make life more beautiful. And when people have a lot of money already, they will appreciate you more, you know. But if people are poor, they won't, to be honest with you. Now, think about talents. Like when people are poor, hungry, they wouldn't think about like talent, singing talent, you know. They would try to find ways to feed them, to feed themselves, you know. So think about what I just said. But in case of an emergency, now in case something bad happened, people with talents will help you, you know. Like you learn from biology, right? It's something called the variety. So basically, variety helps the population of a species survive in case the environment changes. Cái sự đa dạng, cái sự mà đa dạng chủng loại á, cái sự mà đa dạng về cái cấu trúc gen á, the variety in gene pools or variety, nó giúp cho cái quần thể của một giống loài nó tồn tại trong trường hợp mà cái môi trường nó thay đổi. It's like in case of a catastrophe, in case of a disaster or a catastrophe, like for example, a natural disaster or a natural catastrophe happens when most individuals in that population die out. Khi phần đông những cái cá thể trong cái quần thể nó chết hết. Some will remain because they are different, you know. Một số nó sẽ còn lại nếu mà nó different, nếu mà nó khác biệt thì nó sống. So the same thing can be applied to this question. Modern society require talent of all kinds because remember, life is ever changing. Cuộc sống nó luôn luôn thay đổi liên tục nha. So what does it mean? It means what talents that are appreciated right now might not help next year. You know, maybe next year the society will be different and talents of other kind will be appreciated. You know, so what does it mean? If modern society does not have talents of all kinds, it will be doomed. It will meet its demise or its doom. Nếu mà xã hội hiện đại mà không có những tài năng của tất cả chủng loại đi, lỡ đâu nó thay đổi một cái thôi là cái xã hội đó sẽ chết ngắt, sẽ gặp cái sự kết thúc của nó hoặc là cái sự mà tận thế của nó. It will meet its doom or its demise. Anyway, that's okay. I think you should focus on 87. Okay, so Mr. Please describe a person who solved a problem in a smart way.
So I would like to talk about one of my old friends from secondary school who solved a problem in a very smart way. And at that time, when I was in grade 7, we were given a task to host an event, which helped to strengthen our bond among the classmates. And he was in charge of it because he was the monitor of our class. And at the event, we intended to invite one of the teachers in our school to come and to contact with us and to give us advice and then help us to monitor the event. However, the teacher was late, and our timeline couldn't wait for her to arrive. And he immediately came up with a very clever solution. He invented a mini game for us to kill time until the teacher arrived. He tried to he made us guess the actions that he was doing, and that game was not really new, but it definitely helped us to feel much more fun, and somehow because he divided us into groups, so somehow we also strengthened our bond between among classmates as well. So this event has definitely proved his ability to solve problems in a very smart way, because at that age, I think, I couldn't even host an event that he
Mhm.
not also um, hosted, but could could come up with a very new and smart way to deal with the problems that arise during the event,
Mm.
which is really admiring.
You mean admirable, right?
Yeah, admiring.
Okay. Now, so do you think children are born smart or they learn to become smart?
But actually, there are two cases. I think it is true that some children are born smart. Actually, in the past and even nowadays, there are many famous people who are born smart. Uh, for example, in the past, there are many famous musicians who were born really smart, like such as Mozart, a very famous one, who showed his talent for playing piano since he was 3
Playing
or
the piano, careful.
playing the piano.
Playing the violin, playing the piano, playing the guitar. Chơi nhạc cụ phải có the nha. When you play a musical instrument, you must use the. Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. So
So
what about Mozart then?
he learned to play the piano since he was a little child, and when he got older, he started to create his own
Music.
music, which was an indication of his innate intelligence. Mm, However, I think there are also some children who learn to become smart. Mm, Actually, some people are not really innately smart, and
Through
their
training and through learning, right?
yeah, through training and through learning, they start to um, learn a lot of new things, and then they train their mind to how to think logically or how to solve a problem, which can be considered as smart. So I think it depends on many cases, but in general, there are children who are born smart, and also some children who learn to become smart.
I see. Now, okay, so how do children become smart at school then?
Well, I think the most popular way for children to become smart at school is that they have to be really hardworking. Mm, Well, to become smart, they have to learn a lot, and they have to experience and do a lot of homework, or just try to understand the lessons deeply, rather than just understand it in a very shallow way. Like they do not really research and understand deeply. And once they have learned the knowledge, this gradually, I think this can help them to become smart, to know how to deal with problems in life, and how to compete with others uh, when it comes to job seeking, or any competition that they enter. And also, I think they have some children also attend extra classes, uh, or they take part in many extracurricular activities or events, where they are allowed to be exposed to a lot of different activities that can enhance their critical thinking, and also their physical endurance. Uh, But I think in general, they to become smart, children have to be really hardworking and engaged in whatever they do at school.
Okay, very good. Now, why are some people well-rounded and others only good at one thing?
Well, I think it depends greatly on their families and also their abilities. Well, some people are born really perfect and they are good at whatever they do, no matter well, even if they do not really have to try really hard. And and also there are children who are well-rounded just because how their families educate them. They are made to attend a lot of extra classes in extra classes about many different subjects such as maths, literature, or physics, and they are forced to study such subjects. And as a result, studying those subjects a lot makes them somehow really well-rounded and good at those subjects.
Hmm. But are you also aware that, well-rounded individuals they often receive a lot of support from their parents, their friends, and also the other people. So they become even better, you know? Do you know about that fact?
Yeah.
So, like for example, if you're born beautiful, more beautiful than other people, then probably you will receive much more support from the other people around you. And as a result of that, you become even more well-rounded. Do you know about that fact?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's a very interesting thing to take into consideration, like how people treat beautiful individuals different from like ugly individuals. Okay. So tell me, so why does modern society need talent of all kinds then?
Well, I think because the reason why modern society needs talents of all kinds is because uh, probably variety helps the population of a species survive in case of any changes to the environment. Well, as a matter of fact, in many situations, when there is a natural disaster, some people have uh, there are many talents that modern society needs. For example, when there's an earthquake or a storm that destroy people's house, definitely architectures or engineers or authorities have to be have to do what they are good at, which is designing, building, and controlling and guiding people to get to overcome the difficulties. Uh, and also, uh, and also
Think about in
because
time of
of
war. Think about in time of war, what would happen? Like, for example, in time of war, people who are good at scamming the other people, actually can be used in war. Like những kẻ lừa đảo thực sự là trong lúc chiến tranh họ sẽ được sử dụng để mà lừa đối phương. Yeah, well, actually, some talent, if they have talents with that, they can help their country, and they can be heroes instead of like criminals. Họ có thể trở thành những anh hùng thay vì là những tên tội phạm. Well, actually, that happens a lot in the past. Think about when times changes, you need talents. you need a lot of different types of talents and they will shine, keep shining. Khi thời nó thay đổi thì những cái tài năng mình sẽ cứ liên tục là tỏa sáng thôi. Những tài năng khác nhau sẽ liên tục tỏa sáng. Different talents will keep shining, you know, when times change. So think about that one. What do you think? Like, for example, in a modern society, like, for example, if one time you need people who are talented with making money, yeah, to help the economy. But the problem is, well, if you do not have talent of other fields, like, for example, with art, with history, talents with other fields, what would happen to that society? What do you think?
Well, I think that society will undergo a phase of poverty. There's no progress, and yeah, the quality of life will, and the quality of life will not be satisfactory for many people, and it can lead to people involving in a lot of illegal activities,
Mm-hmm.
or risky activities, which can really be detrimental to their existence.
Mm-hmm. Detrimental to their existence. Okay, very well. I think we can just end here now. It's already enough. I think it's good enough.